So, today we will start the new chapter, the solid state. So, in first PUC classes, I told you what is matter. What is a matter? Anything that occupies space and has got mass is called a matter. Anything that occupies space and has got mass is called a matter. Coming to the states of matter. So, broadly, there are three states of matter, namely solids, liquids, and gases. Liquids and gases are together called as fluids. Why they are called fluids? Because the particles in these substances are moving from one place to another place. Therefore, they are called fluids. That means liquids and gases flow. Since they flow, they are called as fluids. Why they flow? Because the particles are not fixed at a definite position. The particles are in a position to move from one place to another place. Therefore, they are called as fluids. Coming to solids, in case of solids, the particles are fixed. Particles are fixed at a definite position and hence particles cannot move from, therefore they are called as solids. Now, we will study some of the general characteristics of solids. General characteristics of solids. So, your syllabus starts from here, that is general characteristics of solids. So, first characteristic or first property of a solid is solids have definite shape, definite volume and definite mass. Solids have definite shape, definite volume and definite mass because the particles are held by strong electrostatic forces and the position of the particles is fixed. So, since there is great force of attraction between the molecules, suppose this is a solid. So, in solids these are called particles. Particles in the sense, particles may be atoms, molecules or ions. So, together we will call them as particles. So, in solids the particles are held by, so in between the particles there is a great force of attraction and the position of the particles is fixed. Therefore, solids will have definite shape, definite volume and definite mass. So, this is the answer for why solids have definite shape and definite volume, because the particles are held by strong forces and the position of the particles is fixed. Coming to the second characteristics, solids are rigid and incompressible. incompressible. So what is the meaning of rigid? They are hard and incompressible. We cannot compress the solids except rubber, sponge and foam, etc. So except rubber, sponge, foam, etc. solids are rigid. They are hard substances and also they are incompressible. They cannot compress. So coming to the third property, solids have high melting point and boiling points when compared to liquids and gases. So solids have high melting point and boiling point. So lastly, fourth characteristics, usually solids have higher density than their liquid state. So usually, for example, solid iron density is greater than liquid iron. That is the meaning of solids have higher density than liquid state. So these are the four main properties I have mentioned here. Solids have definite shape, definite volume, definite mass. This is because particles are held by strong forces of attraction and the position of the particles is fixed. They are rigid and incompressible. They have high melting point and boiling points. Usually solids have higher density than their liquid state. Coming to the types of solids. Types of solids. Depending upon the arrangement, spatial arrangement. So, depending upon the spatial arrangement of particles, depending upon the spatial arrangement of the particles. Here particles may be atoms, molecules or ions, solids are classified into two types based on the spatial arrangement of constituent particles of the constituent particles. Solids are classified into two types. Number one, crystalline solids, and number two, amorphous solid. So this classification is based on what? Based on the regular arrangement or spatial arrangement of particles. Solids are classified into two types. So what are crystalline solids? Crystalline solids. So in these solids, particles are arranged in a definite pattern in three-dimensional space. So in these solids, the particles are arranged in a definite pattern in three-dimensional space. These solids are called crystalline solids. So for example, this is the arrangement of particles in crystalline solids. In crystalline solids, they are arranged in a definite pattern like this. These are crystalline solids. Example for crystalline solids: sodium chloride NaCl, potassium chloride KCl, diamond, graphite, etc. So these are crystalline solids. Coming to another type of solids, namely amorphous solids. Amorphous solids. So in these solids, the constituent particles are not arranged in a definite pattern in three-dimensional space. In three-dimensional space. So example for amorphous solids: glass, wood, rubber, cellulose, starch, etc. are amorphous solids. That means, so in crystalline solids, there is a definite pattern in the arrangement of particles, whereas in case of amorphous solids, the particles are not arranged in a definite pattern like this. The arrangement is not in a definite pattern. So this is amorphous solids. Now let us study the differences between crystalline solids and amorphous solids. So that is, give the differences between crystalline solids and amorphous solid. So this will be important. So this is crystalline solids and amorphous solids. So the first difference, what is the first difference? So here the particles are arranged in a definite pattern in three-dimensional space. So here, that means in crystalline solids, the particles are arranged in a definite pattern in three-dimensional space. In amorphous solids, the particles are not arranged in a definite pattern in three-dimensional space. In three-dimensional space. So particles are arranged in definite pattern. Here particles are not arranged in definite pattern. Number 2, crystalline solids, they have a definite geometrical shape. Crystalline solids have a definite geometrical shape. So whereas amorphous solids, they do not have a definite geometrical shape. So coming to the third difference. So they have a sharp melting point. They have a sharp melting point. Here they do not have sharp melting point. They do not have sharp melting point. What is the meaning of this one? Sharp melting point. Say for example, melting point of sodium is 800 degrees centigrade. So if you melt rubber, it will not melt at a definite temperature. It melts over a range of temperature. So say for example, in between 100 to 150. So they will melt over a range of temperature. That is the difference between sharp melting point and they do not have sharp melting point, comma, they melt over a range of temperature. They melt over a range of temperature. That means we have to mention the range. Here they will melt at a sharp melting point. They have definite melting points. Fourth point, crystalline solids are called true solids. They are true solids, whereas amorphous solids are pseudo solids. They are called pseudo solids. Pseudo solids are supercooled liquids. Supercooled liquids. So crystalline solids are the true solids, whereas amorphous solids or pseudo solids are supercooled liquids. Fifth difference, it is very important, they are anisotropic in nature. Anisotropic in nature. Here they are isotropic in nature. They are isotropic in nature. So this is, you have to know what is the meaning of anisotropic and isotropic in nature. I will tell you later on. So this is the fifth difference. And last difference, they cleave, C-L-E-A-V-E, cleave in a definite plane. Cleave means they will open in a definite plane. They do not cleave. They do not cleave, C-L-E-A-V-E, cleave in a definite plane. Definite plane. So these are the 6 differences. You have to remember at least 3 differences between crystalline solids and amorphous solids. This is very important. So based on the arrangement of particles, in the crystal, solids are classified into 2 types, crystalline solids and amorphous solids. What is the first difference? Particles are arranged in a definite pattern in 3-dimensional space. It is crystalline solids. In amorphous solids, the particles are arranged in a haphazard manner. There is no definite pattern in the arrangement of particles. They have definite geometrical shape. They do not have definite geometrical shape. They have sharp melting point. They melt at a definite temperature. They do not melt at a definite temperature. They melt over a range of temperature. Crystalline solids are called the true solids, whereas amorphous solids are called pseudo solids or supercooled liquids. They are anisotropic in nature. They are isotropic in nature. They cleave in a definite plane. They do not cleave in a definite plane. Cleave in a definite plane means if you broken, they will break over a plane. Here they do not break in a definite plane. They can break at any manner. That is the meaning of cleaving. So now we will know what is the meaning of isotropy and anisotropy. What is isotropy? Isotropy means physical properties like refractive index, electrical conductivity, thermal conductivity, etc. Thermal conductivity, etc. are same in all directions, in the same crystal, This is known as isotropy. So, isotropy is observed in amorphous solids. What is the meaning of this one? Amorphous solids are isotropic in nature. So, suppose this is a crystal of amorphous solid. Properties like refractive index, thermal conductivity or electrical conductivity are same in all directions. So, whether you measure in this direction, whether you measure in this direction, these properties like refractive index, thermal conductivity, electrical conductivity are same in all the direction. Such a property is known as isotropy. Amorphous solids are isotropic in nature, means physical properties like refractive index, thermal conductivity, electrical conductivity are same in all directions. Whereas, what is anisotropy now? What is anisotropy? So, what is anisotropy? Anisotropy means physical properties like refractive index, electrical conductivity, thermal conductivity, etc. are different in different directions. Anisotropy means physical properties like refractive index, thermal conductivity and electrical conductivity are different in different directions in the same crystal. So, suppose this is a crystalline solid. If you measure the physical properties like refractive index, thermal conductivity, electrical conductivity, etc. If you measure in this direction, they will have one values. If you measure in this direction, they will have another values. This is the meaning of anisotropy. So, physical properties are different in different directions in case of crystalline solids, whereas in case of amorphous solid, physical properties like refractive index, electrical conductivity and thermal conductivity are same in all directions. Now, let us study the classification of crystalline solids based on binding forces. So, what is the meaning of binding forces? So, in crystalline solids, as I have told you, the particles or the constituent particles are attracted by the surrounding particles, is it not? So, depending upon the nature of the attractive forces between the particles, they are called binding forces. The attractive forces between the particles are called binding forces. Based on the binding forces, crystalline solids are classified into the following 4 types. So, write down. Based on the binding forces between the constituent particles, The solids are classified into following four types, namely, number one, molecular crystalline solids. Number two, ionic crystalline solids. Number three, covalent or network crystalline solids, and fourth one is metallic crystalline solids. So based on the binding forces between the constituent particles, solids are classified into four types: molecular crystalline solids, ionic crystalline solids, covalent or network crystalline solids, and finally metallic crystalline solids. Now we will study the tabular column which gives the differences between all these four types. The column includes type, crystal solid type, constituent particles, binding interparticle forces, examples: physical nature, melting point, and lastly electrical conductivity. So we will study these types under different heads. So based on the binding forces between the particles in solids, so solids are classified into following type: crystal type. So type 1 crystal type, first one is molecular crystalline solid. So in molecular crystalline solids, again there are three types. Number one, non-polar solids, B, polar solids, and C, hydrogen bonded solids. So molecular, if the crystal consists of only molecules, they are called as molecular crystalline solids. In molecular crystalline solids, again there are three types: non-polar, polar, and hydrogen bonded solids. So in these crystalline solids, what are the constituent particles? The constituent particles are molecules. In molecular crystalline solids, the particles are called molecules. Constituent particles are called molecules. So again, depending upon the binding forces, molecular crystalline solids are non-polar solids, polar solids, and hydrogen bonded solids. What is the binding intermolecular forces in case of non-polar solids? Say for example, in solid iodine, the iodine particles particles are iodine molecules. So this is one iodine molecule, another iodine molecule. In between these two, these are non-polar molecules because the molecule consists of similar atoms, hence it is a non-polar molecule. The binding forces between this molecule and this molecule is non-polar and this molecule is non-polar. The binding forces between these two non-polar molecules is weak van der Waals forces. These weak van der Waals forces are also called as dispersive forces or London forces. So what are the binding interparticle forces in non-polar molecules? It is dispersive or London forces. Dispersive or London forces are nothing but weak van der Waals forces. So examples for non-polar solids: solid iodine, solid argon, solid carbon tetrachloride, solid hydrogen, solid chlorine, etc. So solid iodine, hydrogen, chlorine, argon, carbon tetrachloride, etc. are molecular solids. Here the constituent particles are molecules. The binding force between these non-polar molecules are called dispersive forces or London forces. What is the physical nature of these solids? They are soft. Non-polar molecular solids are soft. Melting point is very low. And electrical property, they are insulators. Insulators means they are bad conductors of electricity. Coming to another type in molecular crystalline solids, polar solids. So polar solid, if this molecule is, say for example HCl, this one is HCl, this is one molecule, this is another molecule, both are polar molecules. The intermolecular force here is dipole-dipole interaction. Here H plus Cl minus, H plus Cl minus. Negative pole of one molecule attracts positive pole of another molecule. So this kind of intermolecular force is known as dipole-dipole interaction. So dipole-dipole interaction. So this will be asked in your examination. What is the nature of binding forces in non-polar solids, polar solids and hydrogen bonded? In all these solids, the constituent particles are molecules only. Here the molecules are non-polar. Here the molecules are polar. Here the molecules are held by hydrogen bonding. So dipole-dipole interaction. So examples: solid hydrogen chloride, solid carbon dioxide, solid sulfur dioxide, etc. So here the molecules are polar molecules. Attractive force between or binding force between these polar molecules is dipole-dipole interaction. What is the physical nature? Here they are also soft. Melting point is low and electrical conductivity is insulator. So another type of molecular crystalline solids is hydrogen bonded solids. Here also the constituent particles are molecules and the binding intermolecular forces here is hydrogen bonding. Hydrogen bonds. The particles are held by hydrogen bonds. So example is ice. Ice means solid water. So what is the physical nature of ice? It is hard. Melting point is low. and it is also bad conductor of electricity. It is insulator. So this is about the first type of crystalline solids based on the interparticle forces. So based on the binding forces, the first type of crystalline solids are molecular crystalline solids. Here the constituent particles are molecules. If the molecules are held by weak van der Waals forces called London forces or dispersive forces, the crystal, the molecules, depending upon whether the molecule is polar, non-polar, they are classified as non-polar solids, polar solids. In between non-polar molecules, London forces are there. In between polar molecules, dipole-dipole interaction. In case of these molecules, they are held by hydrogen bonds. So the second type of crystalline solid based on binding forces is ionic crystalline solids. Ionic crystalline solids. Ionic crystalline solids. In ionic crystalline solids like sodium chloride, what are the constituent particles? Sodium ions and chloride ions. So constituent particles is ions. Ions may be positive or negative. So ions are the constituent particles in ionic crystalline solids. What are the binding forces? How these positive and negative ions are held by? These particles, ions are held by electrostatic forces. Electrostatic forces or Coulombic forces. Coulombic forces. The ions are held by Coulombic forces. Example, solid NaCl, KCl, magnesium oxide, calcium fluoride, etc. There are so many ionic crystalline solids. So what is the physical nature? They are hard and brittle. So if you drop the crystal of sodium chloride, it will breaks. That is the meaning of brittle. They are hard by nature. When you drop that crystal, it will break into pieces. That is known as brittle. Then melting points are usually high because of the great force of attraction between positive and negative ions. Coming to the electrical conductivity, they are insulators. They are insulators in the solid state and conductors in the molten state. So they are insulators in the solid state. Ionic crystals are insulators in the molten state. That means in the solid state, they do not conduct electricity because the ions are not free. They do not contain free ions, therefore they are insulators. But when these solids are melted, they will conduct electricity because ions becomes free. So that is the meaning of this one. They are insulators in the solid state and conductors in the molten state. So this is the second type of crystalline solids, that is ionic crystalline solids. What is the third type? Third type is covalent or network crystalline solids. Covalent crystalline solids or network crystalline solids. Here the constituent particles are atoms. constituent particles are atoms. What is the binding force between the atoms? Here there is covalent bond. Covalent particles are held by, the atoms are held by strong covalent bonds. Examples: diamond, graphite, quartz. Its formula is silicon dioxide SiO2, carborundum. So this is silicon carbide, SiC. Coming to the physical nature, diamond very hard, graphite is soft, quartz is also hard, carborundum is also hard. Coming to melting point, they have very high melting point. Coming to electrical conductivity, diamond, insulator, graphite, it is conductor. So this is exception. Graphite is a conductor, quartz is insulator, and again carborundum is also insulator. So except graphite, all are insulators or all are bad conductor of electricity. So this is the third type. Coming to the fourth type, that is metallic crystalline solids. Metallic crystalline solids. Here, suppose this is a metal or copper. So what are the constituent particles? The positive ions are in a pool of electrons. So mobile electrons are moving all over here, and there are positive ions. When the atom loses electron, it becomes positively charged kernel. These positively charged ions will move in a sea of electrons. So this is the situation there. What are the constituent particles? Positive ions in a sea of electrons. These are the constituent particles in metals. Coming to binding forces. What are the binding forces? The attraction between positive ion and the electrons or the atoms is called metallic bonds. Here it is metallic bonds. In metals, the particles are held by metallic bonds. And then coming to examples, so you will have gold AU, silver AG, copper, platinum, etc. So coming to the physical nature, all metals are hard, malleable and ductile. What is the meaning of malleable? They can be converted into thin sheets, that is called malleability. They can be converted into thin wires, that is known as ductility. Metals are hard, malleable and ductile. Coming to melting point, melting points are also high. Coming to electrical conductivity, they are good conductors in all state, whether in solid state or in molten state. High. So conductors in all states. That means in solid state as well as in liquid state. So these are the differences between four types of solids based on the binding forces between the constituent particles. Crystalline solids are classified into four types: molecular crystalline solids, ionic crystalline solids, covalent or network crystalline solids, and metallic crystalline solids. So here in molecular crystalline solids, the constituent particles are molecules; in ionic crystal, ions; in covalent crystals, atoms; in metallic crystalline solids, positive ions in a pool of electrons. So binding forces here are dispersive or London forces in non-polar solids, dipole-dipole interaction in polar solids, hydrogen bonding in hydrogen bonded solids. So example, physical nature, melting point, etc. You have to note down. In crystalline solids, ions are the constituent particles. They are held by electrostatic force of attraction. In covalent solids, atoms are the constituent particles held by covalent bonds. So these are the physical natures examples. In metallic crystalline solids, positive ions in a pool of electrons and held by metallic bonds.